All right, guys, it's Wednesday night. Welcome to London Football TV live out of Melrose. Dylan Sherville, Joe Harris, Evan Hamner, and the coach, Ron Ferwerda, taking you through another week of recaps from last week. We're in playoffs right now, gentlemen, and some really great games to talk about tonight. So if you're just joining us, please jump in the chat. Certainly love the interaction here, and get it in quick before YouTube retracts it. I've turned off all the filters, so you should be able to do whatever you need to in that chat. But remember that people's grandmothers watch this show too, so do what you got to do. So an exciting week of football, gentlemen, and let's just jump right into it. It's on the screen right now. We'll start with the county games. Ingersoll at Strathroy, I guess at Cuddy Field. Man, were we all wrong on this one. Wild. Ron, did you say you were there for the first bit of this game?
No, I got there literally as the game had ended. The score was already turned off. Buses were being loaded. I'm like, okay, I don't know who won. I just kind of assumed at that point, I hear a lot of cheering and everything. I'm thinking, okay, Ingersoll's not going to travel out to Strathroy, but lo and behold, somebody did, and they're the ones cheering in a 1-point victory.
Yeah, this obviously must have been an absolute wild game. We all took Strathroy. The poll had Strathroy at 69%. It was looking that way. So if you're watching right now and you're at this game, we'd love some updates. Unfortunately, not a whole lot of content online for me to grab. But Dylan,
that's why you play the games.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's why we play the games. So you're never out. Any team can win on any given day. So glad to see Ingersoll pulling it together and coming up with a huge upset.
Is it Edwards of the Jets back in the day? You play to win the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ingersoll, the bright lights, the glitz and glam of Strathvegas were no match for Ingersoll as they stunned the what I think on the panel was the favored Strathroy team.
Yeah.
The standings will tell you a favored Strathroy team, but the game isn't played on polls or on panels. It's played on the field.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting? We were talking about this last week, too, about that team from Sarnia potentially entering in this county league. Really, the drive from Ingersoll to Strathroy, comparable to from, Strathroy to Sarnia. We're just down the 402, 45 minutes.
It literally would be the same.
Yeah. So
if not closer to Sarnia.
Yeah, so great coaching there, too. I know that Sarnia guy helps here in the city with Junior Mustangs this summer. Either way, congrats to Ingersoll for pulling off the biggest upset in the county and proving us all wrong. So nobody went perfect this week. So let's roll into Montcalm College Ave. This one, unfortunately, was a forfeited game. Somebody had messaged me, but I thought it might have been a joke in the direct message. So anybody have details on why Montcalm had to cancel? Or no. We just kind of got that. So obviously they get the 35-0. Congratulations to Cass. I was having a chat with Danny Fitzgerald, who's helping out at College Ave yesterday, former CCH guy. He's on the plaque on the wall, and said that he's really, really liking what he's seeing from that team, and they're prepping for a big game too. So great job, College Ave getting ready for this one. Then we get Glendale traveling to One Password to play Joe's. Obviously, we all have Joe's on this. Poll had Joe's at 85%, and I'd just love to know the details of the 12 points that Glendale put up, right? It's I'm assuming, Joe's was rolling, but hey, points on the board are points on the board regardless, right? So
yeah, it had been 3 weeks, as we pointed out. It had been 3 weeks since St. Joe's had any points scored against them. So to get the 2 touchdowns for Glendale was quite an achievement.
Yeah, it's one of those games too where even though it's out of hand, the Glendale players and parents were losing their mind when they scored, right? Which that's what it's all about.
And this is high school football, senior ball. Some of those players on Glendale, this would have been their last game of high school ball. So if it was a senior or graduating senior or two that got a touchdown, well, only maybe one touchdown, but that player can say, hey, I got a touchdown in my final high school game.
Yeah, that's huge. And at One Password, nice facility too. So let's keep rolling. East Elgin. This was the one that we had a few last-minute pick changes. Once we found out it was at a One Password, and East Elgin coming out with the W on this one. So I know we held strong on our Clark Road picks, but nice job, guys. And even the poll had it at 60% for Clark Road. So I'm assuming this was a good one too. Unfortunately, no cameras capturing much content online. So congrats to East Elgin. And then that should be all the county games. Yes, it is. So let's roll into the South Medway matchup where I don't think this was a surprise for anyone. We talked about Medway having struggled against Saunders, and, we end up with a big game here. So, and we do have a scene here from, I think, so we've got good old Andre Thompson wanted Chase Smith. This was an early score in the game. I know this game, I believe, also started with a Chase Smith kick return for touchdown, which would have probably set an early tone there for sure. And let's go back here. So,
as good as that throw was there, that protection by that south line there on that play gives him a lot of time to do that sprint out to the outside, even though, yes, he's sprinting out, but good protection there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thoughts on this one, guys, or no surprise here on this score?
Not too much of a surprise here. I thought it was gonna be a little bit more competitive of a game. So kind of unfortunate to see Medway only put up 14 points, but that just speaks for South, right? Kind of had a really a little bit of struggles throughout the early of the season, but now they're starting to turn it on, and this is when you want to turn it on, right? They have a lot of playmakers, a lot of guys who do really well with the ball in their hands. Chase Smith, Drake Logan, Fulton, JoJo, and especially Andre. If you are going to win in the playoffs, your star players need to show up and they need to play big games.
Yeah, and unofficially, I'm pretty sure I heard Drake might have been hurt in this game too.
Yeah,
so
hopefully he's on the road to a quick recovery, as he's an incredibly special athlete. So with them losing him potentially for the rest of the year, definitely not fun. And gonna make South a little bit more easier to defend, as he's really that big play threat at the receiver position to go down the field, especially with how well they were moving him around in the last few weeks.
absolutely,
I do want to say, I had South by 14 plus, so
this is
you
true.
would-
You
yeah,
covered.
Yeah, I covered.
you
Yeah.
covered.
And
Next year we're gonna that'll be London
the
Football
lines.
TV as sponsored by FanDuel, and
Well, for the bingo card, I had the Chase Smith kick return touchdown.
you did.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did say that.
Yeah, you definitely did. So we need to start taking the little notes on those ones, little side bet action for sure.
One more thing. If South's offensive line plays like they did going forward, that's a tough out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll talk about that matchup here in a minute. Let's talk about the CCH Sab game, early morning one on Friday. CCH across the board. The poll had it at 83%. I got there late in that one, and I was honestly surprised. I think it might have been 38-14 when I got there, and Sab had just scored that kind of last one after I showed up. But.
So this game was at half, up until just before halftime. This was a really, really good first half. We had talked about how Sab had turned things around. They had some injuries start of the year. We talked about that week in, week out. They were playing hot. Defensively, they were hitting CCH. They were meeting them at the line. Offensively, they were moving it. And then in the last minute, 10 seconds before half, CCH scored 16 points or 12, 16 unanswered points, and that just completely changed the tone into the halftime. So, yes, when you later on, if you joined at half or later, you'd think, "Oh, CCH are running away with this one," but it's a tale of two halves in that game for sure.
Right. Well, and we've got a really nice pick clip here from Mr. Nathan Summers, who I believe put 6 on the board for this one. So that's it's always fun having to defend against the Summers kid. Hats off to the parents for doing a great job raising some killer football players in this family. So great shot here from Awardy TV as well too. Really good content piece from the city. So I mean, CCH moving on. We'll talk about that matchup in a second as well. The STA Lucas game, 28-13. I think we were Lucas across the board, as was the poll. Really, this was, STA's first points came from a kick return as well, too. Just completely duffed on kickoff return and just no contain up the side. And it was number 8, just took it for a run. And, a little rejigging and fixing on that one, but good game, all the way around here too. And STA's later touchdown was actually pretty. It was a nice little pass. So it was tougher, I think, early on, but it was more so the smack in the mouth from getting scored on. And you never want to get a kick return scored on you, right? So it's that was a big one to make some adjustments. So
STA didn't have the season that they wanted on the season standings, but I think they showed growth over the course of a season, and I think they maybe finished stronger than they started, which moral victories going into an off season. But Joe, thoughts?
Yeah, like number 8, I think that's Finn. He had that kick return. He'll be gone next year, but injuries hurt. But everyone's injured this time of the year. Lucas has played good ball for decades now, right? So that's no surprise.
yeah, well, and what's nice too is the targets for most of the part for the year was Melrose and Anthony Green, but Embassy, the big D end, who also is coming out at receiver now. Putting some work in too, and this was one of the earlier touchdowns. With Malik connected up with Embassy. Bit of a mismatch there. And just goes for a shot. And that's something.
It's nice to see special, just like physically so dominant at the high school level. So he got a couple catches. It was nice to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's a two-sport kid, too. Like, you'll see him playing basketball this winter and was in Arizona playing, like, in line to play at a D1 school at one point, too. So, pretty talented kid that we were able to finally get him to play football for the last, for his last year at high school.
Typical basketball kid.
Right? It's just like, could you not have played?
Fine.
Yeah, and it was...
Then they're having fun getting touchdowns.
Yeah, right? Oh,
the coaching staff be like, well, we could have had 3 years of this.
Yeah.
Ask how it turned out for a kid that went to Kent State. Yeah, Antonio Gates.
Yeah, right?
And
So,
someone that's a little bit more recent, Daniel Johnson.
yeah.
Also went down there, played basketball. Brother George played basketball. All turned into phenomenal football players.
Two-sport George.
Exactly.
Yep.
Sport George.
All right. Well, let's talk about this one here. Banting, which was a citywide game, which we did fix up. I put the notes in here just so we wouldn't forget. With a big 42-7 win over Laurier. I don't think any of us were, we're all, secretly pulling for Laurier on this one, but too many horses.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
Believe
And-
they're Broncos.
Yeah, well, yeah, true enough. And we do have, actually, I like this clip. I think this was Ethan Flicks. This is Jackson McKay being carried over the goal line to score by Emmett Charles. And they lift him, touchdown. So, great job, Flicks by Ethan. I hadn't seen much of this guy's content, but some really good stuff from this game for sure. So please go check him out on Instagram. But a big win here for Banting, and I think we're going to talk about the matchups here now. But anybody surprised by this one?
No.
No.
Whenever a team requests to play on turf, they're going to be fast and they're going to score points.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, that's recap. Let's jump right into this Thursday's game. Little Halloween matchups for the county teams, and the upsetters at Ingersoll taking on College Ave. Dylan, why don't we start with you down at that end?
Yeah, kind of the tale of two different teams here for the county game here in Ingersoll and College Ave, right? College Ave consistently putting up strong performances with their skill position players. Ingersoll kind of coming through with that upset, right? So for Ingersoll, the key is how are you going to stop Javon Roberts, right? How are you going to stop him from taking over a game, running over everybody? And then from College Ave's perspective, how are you going to make sure that you control the clock? Right, control the clock, ensure that Ingersoll doesn't get a ton of time on offense, right, and take their offense off the field, as their offensive line's been known to be pretty strong. So for me, obviously, I'm picking College Ave here. I just think that there's too many playmakers on that side of the ball for them, for Ingersoll to be able to handle. But at the same time, I think this game's gonna be really close.
Yep. Okay, one for College.
Yep. I haven't had the chance to coach against either of these teams. So just going off of kind of the scores throughout the year, I'm going Cass as well.
Okay.
This is a County Road 9 showdown, Halloween showdown here between College Ave of Woodstock, Ingersoll of Ingersoll. This game is in London at Citywide, so travel, it's going to be equal. I mean, a little bit further, but both teams are traveling for this game. This game is Citywide on turf, so there's no, muddy field. Are guys going to trip up on routes? Shouldn't be. So that's an even. Ingersoll comes in, battle tested. The bright lights of Strathvegas they were able to keep their shades on for that one. College Ave, they didn't have to play, so they're a little bit more rested potentially, less banged up in this game. Both teams for this, they're going to be driving down the 401 home. You could take number 2, but citywide closer to the 401. I think the winning team is going to be driving down the 401. They're not getting off at Harris Street. They're driving another 12 to 14 minutes. And if it's me, I'm taking that first exit down the hill into Woodstock, going to Fritzy's at the bottom of the hill, the downtown Fritzy's, getting a cheeseburger, getting fries, getting a Fritzy's milkshake, the dairy capital of Canada, Woodstock, Fritzy's downtown, not the uptown one. If you know, you know. Give me the College Ave Knights from the friendly city of Woodstock.
Well, I love it. Not
Is
a
that
sponsor yet, Fritzy's, but please go check them out.
Is Woodstock actually the dairy capital of Canada?
Dairy capital
Yeah.
of Canada.
Really?
And the friendly city.
Okay.
I've been to Woodstock. It's not that friendly.
Hey. I know lots of people from Woodstock, very
Yeah.
friendly people.
All right, Ron, what do you got here, sir?
College Ave, they've got arguably the best player in this conference division in Javon Roberts, and they've got arguably one of the top defensive players in Tyken Zaire. When we saw these guys, we saw them with 27 guys, and they didn't really skip a beat. They have athletes everywhere. It's not just those two guys. They've got athletes everywhere. I think the speed factor is going to be a huge difference maker in this game. I think Ingersoll got their win. I think College Ave, Knights roll, and I'm sorry to say I don't think it's close.
Yeah, I same sort of thing here too. I think they're going to be real pumped from the win, and hats off for the win. It was obviously a nice little upset, but still too many Knights on the team here are going to show up and make big plays. So I'm going College Ave as well on this one too. So let's flip down to St. Thomas now. One Password also at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Little Halloween game between East Elgin and St. Joe's. I think East Elgin have been progressively getting better every single week and every single game, but I think Joe's is just too much of a powerhouse in this situation, so I'm taking Joe's on this one all day.
Inside information, one of the coaches that practiced today for East Elgin, they were repping their team so hard, he had to go to the hospital after the practice.
The coach did.
The coach did.
Okay.
They were working on some post drills. One of the pads slipped, and he got a boo-boo. Coach Adam, I hope you're feeling better. I hope you're feeling better tomorrow after St. Joe's kicked your ass. St. Joe's in a walk.
Real quick, I still remember seeing Coach Ron trying to demonstrate an out route once upon a time at Western.
Yeah.
And man, was the cut good, but the body didn't go with it. And then we saw Ronnie on crutches for like
6 weeks.
3 years.
Yeah.
But 6 years, 6 weeks, 3 years.
Okay, but to that defense, I was a 50-year-old man when I'm running
Yeah,
that route.
it looked nice.
This is a 22-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They should be able to move better than me. I was old and broken down
Just
at that point.
give you a reason to go to the parking lot and have a
That's
dart.
nice.
Right? Everett, let's talk about this one, man. East Elgin, St. Joe's.
East Elgin Eagles, they've been soaring. They're coming in soaring high. Tomorrow, Halloween, I think the skies look a little scary, a little turbulence. St. Joe's might be enough to ground the Eagles or down the Rams. I think the Rams this year on Halloween, the Rams are like that scary costume that is coming to your door, that it's coming, and unlike at Halloween, you can't just close the door and put the bowl out on the front porch, say, hey kids,
Right.
take your treats. No, East Elgin's got to open the door and say, hey, what's up? And if they're scared, they still got to play the game. I'm taking St. Joe's. I agree. I don't think this one's close.
All right. Joe?
I know East Elgin runs a good program. I know the St. Joe's people better. Most respect for what they've done over, how long? St. Joe's has been open for 24, 25 years now, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
At least in their new building.
Yeah.
Historian Ron, can you confirm?
A long time.
A long time.
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you one. Who was the first head coach at St. Joe's High School for the senior team?
Was it Mo? Brennan?
No.
Okay.
No. Coach Marshall.
Oh, really?
Really? Fun fact Wednesday. All right. So Joe's.
Yeah, Joe's.
I'm thinking St. Joe's as well. When I think about this game and I think about St. Joe's season, it's like that meme with the Grim Reaper knocking on each door, right? They've knocked on each door, went and did their business, on to the next one, did their business, on to the next one. And that's how I think this game is going to go. East Elgin definitely has improved a lot over the course of the season. Unfortunately, I think St. Joe's is just too much to handle for the county teams.
Yep.
This is one of the biggest rivalries in the county. Okay, if not the biggest rivalry. Elmer and St. Thomas, they don't like to host each other because they don't want the other team on their field. Like there was for 10 years there, at least, if not more, there is a huge rivalry between these two teams. Since
The division?
Yeah, since the division of the teams and everything else, you haven't seen it as much. I'm so glad to see these two teams play each other, these two fan bases.
We all want that. Like, that's what makes high school football so great.
Yeah. So, just one more thing. Offense sells tickets. Defense wins championships. And that St. Joe's defense is, I think, the best on that side of on the table.
Absolutely. Well, and before we flip to the city games, shout out to Inspector Gadget, Addis DiCenzo, and Gangsta Kool-Aid Man in the chat right now. And to answer Gangsta Kool-Aid Man's question here, are you doing juniors too? We haven't done any other than talking about the Lucas CCH game. Maybe next year we'll expand into the juniors and doing
Maybe next week for the finals.
Oh yeah, that we could do that too. So tell you what though, if we get the followers on the page up to over 3,000, I'll consider doing juniors for this next year too. So we'll keep rolling. So let's talk about Friday games. South, Banting, 11 o'clock, one password. Nice little travel trip for everybody. And let's start with you, Dylan.
First off, having both these games at 11 a.m., terrible. This is probably the two best high school matchups you're going to get in the province for playoffs. Let's be real. And having them both play at 11 a.m., both on basically opposite ends of the city, right? Having one at one password, and I'm pretty sure the CCH game's at Lucas. Right?
It is now.
Now it is.
now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I read that up first. What?
So, number one, let's have some better scheduling, right? Like, we want to be able to see the best of the best of the best. Let's not have people pick and choose what game they have to go to. But ultimately, this is going to be the best high school football you're going to watch in the province. So, if you got time, if you got a camera, get out there, go make some content. We're talking about the South Banting game, right?
Correct.
Perfect. So, I actually am kind of going to go against a lot of the things that I've picked before. I'm going to take South in this game.
Ooh, I like it.
I think Andre Thompson kind of breaks free and says, you know what, I'm just going to take over a game. He's going to literally just go Jackson Who and end up playing and taking over. And that's what he needs to do if South wants to win this game. It's got to be him versus the world mentality at this point. They do have some great complementary players, but no one can break a game open like Andre can, respectfully. He's just that talented. So he's going to have to show it on Friday there.
Absolutely. Okay, pick for South. I like it. Joe?
I'd love to see two take over a game. He hasn't done that this
I
year.
know. It's tough.
Banting has. They've won every game. I think that matters. And they got fast guys all over the place. Being on turf, if it's whatever it was today, 24. If we're hot again, what's happening, Ron? What's the weather going to be like?
It's going to be 12 degrees and cool and blustery.
Okay, that's still fine.
Yeah.
Not a blizzard.
Yeah,
It's just a light jacket.
Yeah.
Some of the guys might be wearing long sleeves, maybe not.
Maybe some capes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't think South has a great defense either. Like, they haven't stopped anyone from scoring, right? So I think Banting takes that.
Okay. Mr.
Yeah,
Everett?
Jackson, big play, McKay.
Yeah.
What is it?
In the chat.
Inspector
Jackson.
Gadget.
Inspector Gadget, yeah.
Great name, also.
Yeah.
Inspector Gadget, shout out to my childhood. What a great show. This game, South Banting, it's Halloween week. South's coming off of a big week, but I think they're up against a frightening offense in Banting. South this year has proven to be good, but inconsistent. And we've heard they're dealing with maybe some injuries. I think that
No extracurricular issues this time?
I have no
hopefully
idea.
not.
They're dealing with some maybe lineup issues. Who knows? But that hurts you come playoffs. If you're inconsistent, if on-field, off-field stuff becomes distraction, bring it on the field. That's not good for your overall team. Banting has been, they're the Broncos. They're the thoroughbred all season. I think they're too strong. I think they're too big. This game is on turf. So again, McKay and the Broncos, I think they're going to run away with this one. They're going to tame the Lions, dethrone the champs. I think there will be no celebratory South selfie in this game. I'm going Banting over South. I don't think it's close. Call it 14 plus.
Okay.
You know, you were talking about the best player in the city being Andre Thompson. I tend to disagree. I think the best player on the city plays for Banting, and that is Mr. McKay. I got my first chance to really see this guy in action last week, and
It's pretty
that's
sick, right, Ron?
different.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
different. You know, like there's athletes that you see that you're like, that's big, that's fast, that's this, that's that. That kid's different. And, you know, I know South has got arguably the best coach in the city in Mike Stenning. You know, if not one of the greatest legacies, you know, could probably behind Coach Cercelli for what they did over the last 10 years and everything else. South is going to be prepared to play these guys. And like I said earlier, if their offensive line protects and did what they did last week, this week, it's a long, long day. I still think Banting's got too much going on. And what impressed me more than anything, not only McKay, but that defense shut down a really good Rams offense and shut them down early and often. And the game was over by half. I'm not predicting the score. I think it's going to be a tighter game, but Banting does come away and win this game.
Yeah, and I think you can't discount that McKay's on the field, but I'm been more impressed by the supporting cast in Kovin Stahoviak and Emmett Charles. And I think, you know, as much as McKay's had a great season, man, like Kovin's a kid who I got screamed at by his parents for not playing him enough because I was, in my opinion, it was a safety issue when he was younger. To see where he went from there being like third string receiver to, you know, where he's at now, and he's a big part of this offense, playing defense too, right? And
special teams is going to be a huge factor in this. Kovin's a great punt returner. So is Chase.
yeah,
I think they cancel each other off. I think there's aspects of each other's team that cancel each other off. Like I said, I just too many athletes on Banting.
and that's it. But I think McKay will have a game, but I think we're going to see surprises from the rest of the team. So I'm going to take Banting on this one as well too. Would love to see it. I'd love your pick, Dill. Like I'd love to see the upset.
Someone's
yeah,
gotta go
I
against
know,
the
right?
grain
'Cause
here, right?
it makes sense.
I'll take that one on the chin.
Yeah, and you know what? It was one of the I think in the polls on the Insta page as of today, I think Banting is 60 some odd % right now too, so it's pretty close there as well. So so that's it. So let's move to so this game, which was originally scheduled for Thursday at CCH also, and then got moved to Friday. It was still at CCH, and then there was questions surrounding, well, if Lucas is the higher seed or like the home team, why is this game
Someone
not
wised up.
Yeah, and so a mistake was made is the way it was explained. But there was a lot of moving parts to get it to Friday. Either a 2:15 game would have been really nice here.
Right.
Yeah, because, you know, obviously it would be nice to – I would have loved to go on to one password to catch this game, to rip across town, or at least get the first half of the South.
Why is this game not played at Citywide?
Great question.
You know, again, if we're why is this game? We've got 2 turf fields in the area. Why is this game not being played at Citywide?
Yeah.
Logistics.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't.
Yeah,
agree
I
with
mean,
that.
it's – yeah.
Unless there's something.
See, I disagree. I think the coaches should be allowed to keep, if they earned home field advantage, which Lucas did,
I agree.
they get the
Yeah,
choice.
Yeah.
like I understand that, but you know, Banting has earned home field advantage, and they're playing in St. Thomas
By choice.
And they want to play on turf.
Yeah, but again, why is Citywide not available? That's the question.
We don't know that it's not.
Unless
Right?
there's another event booked for.
Yeah.
I-
Well, and I think we're hosting at Lucas a 2:15 game.
Juniors.
Yeah. like-
CCH juniors against Medway at Lucas.
yeah.
Because
So,
and that goes into the logistics with reffing and getting 2 different crews. That same crew that will do the 11 o'clock game will
Right.
do the afternoon game. They'll switch roles. Usually they do. That definitely goes into it. Busing also is a big issue in the school system right now.
Yeah.
And the lack of busing and the pricing of busing. So for CCH, they're able to book the same driver, take the seniors there back, then
Yeah.
bring the juniors there back. that type of logistics, yes, it's easy to, armchair quarterback this and say,
Yeah.
we'll put the game here
was-
and there, right?
yeah.
What's the population of Lucas? Is it 2,000 as well?
No, it's 15,
Okay,
1600,
it's still
I
big,
think.
but
It's a lot.
they do have a football culture. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think an 11 a.m. game at Lucas, like the whole entire school should be out for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, and I'm not
Sucks
even
for
sure.
us. But
Yeah, I'm not even sure if it's going to be a buyout or not, but
At least
yeah,
over the lunch hour, students.
Yeah, it's always like at every school. You
Yeah,
get that
yeah.
crossover because there's a third and a fourth period lunch, so it'll
Yeah.
be busy. We'll get a big crew, and then everybody will go get pizza and then come catch it. So, regardless, of course, I got to take my boys in blue on blue here, and I think they've been rolling real nice. I was impressed by what I saw from the CCH senior team, from what I caught in the Sab game, but gotta roll Vikes on this one for me. Ron?
So I ran into some friends at the Banting game that were scouting, and they were really, really upset at me for taking Sab over CCH, which I obviously didn't do. I said, hey, if there's going to be an upset, the closest game of the day I think is going to be that Sab CCH game. This is by far the closest game of, I think, the season at the high school level. You've got probably the most balanced offense in Lucas against the traditional powerhouse of CCH. What scares me about this game is I think one team's a little bit more of a mutter than the other team. Playing it on grass, playing it in that bowl that is Lucas, it's going to be hard. Even with the home field advantage, I'm sorry, Adam, I'm going Crusaders, exactly like I said I was going to do last Thursday.
All good, man. All good. Are we going to get a song and dance again, or are we just
So,
going to...
I mean, I said if we can get Joe to, I can get some extra swag, some CCH swag now.
I've
that
been
STA's
promised that
out.
before.
I can make
It
it
goes
happen.
right into the fire pit.
We have we don't need that. This is prime. So, Lucas finished first in the other division, earned home field advantage. Absolutely. They finished first. CCH finished second. Last week, we talked about strength of schedule and the divisions. You thought that your division in junior was stronger and then played us in junior. You don't know the strength of another division until you play them on the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for this division, I think that CCH is in the stronger division. And this crossover game, Lucas started the season, the first few weeks, run the ball right up the middle between the tackles, did it extremely well. Credit that. Halfway through the season, Lucas seemed to maybe shift their offensive attack to more of a, I don't want to say air it out, but more of like a jump ball almost. We saw it on the clips there. Mm-hmm. And so that shifting, come the playoffs, we've talked about, you want to be able to run the ball at any level in the playoffs, especially high school football, especially in London. Potentially some injuries at the running back in the backfield of Lucas. I think that if there's injuries in Lucas's backfield and they're thinking, okay, we need to maybe shift to this jump ball type of style. Melrose, your son, playing great. Some other big receivers. Sorry, I don't know their names.
That's fine.
Yeah, they're making good plays. CCH will have to be scheming for that, potentially. But I think if Lucas is shifting and relying on a kind of jump ball, kind of hope and a prayer type of an offense against the Catholic school of the Crusaders, I think CCH's defense, their secondary is ready for it. If you want to run the ball and if they're banged up, I'll take CCH's defensive line, Liam Davis, Tex, their linebackers. We saw Summers get an interception. Trey Potter's been making tackles, the Cookie Monster. I think CCH's offense has been really well. You get Kiba running a wide receiver. He likes to come across in that kind of slot across, and they top, and he's tough to beat on the outside. I think CCH is a little bit more dynamic, so I'm going to go with CCH for the second consecutive week, knocking Lucas out of the playoffs on their home field. And another layer, these two teams didn't play each other this year. Last year, Lucas came to CCH, the Friday Night Lights alumni night game. Mm-hmm. Lucas won a very, very good, close, tight, physical game and kind of, spoiled that homecoming Friday Night Lights game. Don't think that's not on the minds of some of those senior guys. They're like, that's the last time we saw them. So that's going to be another wrinkle. I'm taking Crusaders. They're going to fire up the Crusader song. You can roll the tape. I don't want to sing it again.
I got it. Yeah,
on
it's
Crusaders.
going to be a highlight from the show at the end of it. So, Joe,
Both these guys are right in everything they've said. I would argue AB Lucas's defense is trickier. Like that front they run, I find really weird. I think it's kind of designed to stop a jet type of play. And CCH is bigger, but I think Lucas is more well-rounded. They do have that pass game. They can run like they had the two backs. The one guy's still injured apparently. But even if it's just the one guy, like I thought they were a phenomenal setup they have, and we saw 8 come alive, right? So now you got 6, 7, and 8.
absolutely, and you are correct. Two
2 and 22, right?
Bordeaux's down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate, but I'm going Lucas here. I hate both teams. Personal vendetta against both of them, even though I'm wearing blue today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Lucas here.
Okay.
Kind of clear who I think I'm going to pick here.
But tell us why, Dylan.
So, number one, I would like to actually point out Sean Malik has been a pleasant surprise for Lucas. Talking with a few of the players throughout the summer, there were some big question marks at that quarterback position. And with him being able to come out and compete and throw the ball down the field has given Lucas that additional dimension of that offense, which is great. The more things you can do, the harder it is to stop, right? The big matchup I'm going to be looking at is Will Hunt, one of the offensive tackles from CCH, and Owen Jollymore, the defensive end from Lucas. Both kids definitely going to be playing in the OUA someday. Very talented, very good kids. But if you're not going to be able to stop Jollymore, it's going to make Jed's day really, really hard. Again, their defensive front, very complicated. Something where you have to play disciplined. You have to stay disciplined to your gap responsibilities if you are going to run the ball effectively with one of the better running backs in the city in Keyshawn Manning. So
Is Jed your quarterback, the CCH quarterback?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good luck with play action.
like it's going to be really, really difficult, right? Very difficult. When I also see this, right, the weather's going to be half decent, right? When you get past the 50, it's pretty much 3 points for CCH as well. So I think that'll come into play. Field position will be really important. And to kind of build on to what Ron was saying earlier, Alex Krowski, one of the budding head coaches in London right now. Obviously, I'm slightly biased having played with him and watched him coach, but how he's taken over control of this program and developed athletes and looking to further cement the Crusader way and bring that more into where they're at now. I think he's doing a phenomenal job. So I'm picking CCH in this one. I think that they control the clock too well, and I'm taking them by about 10 to 14 points.
Yeah, interesting with both these teams too. Like Jed didn't play in the summer,
Yep.
and
No.
Sean I think played like one game at Thunderbirds, and then also was just training for the summer too. So kind of cool that you've got sort of those two guys at the helm that didn't have that OSFL experience in the summer going head to head.
I know you
here,
guys
too.
are summer people, but it's nice that the high school is kind of more important to those kids.
Yeah.
I agree, absolutely, and that was something we're at CCH traditionally, right? Just based off of how long the season was going to be, because before the changes, you were playing 17 games in 19 weeks. That's a lot of,
Yeah, but
that's a huge
you had
total.
like 4 weeks of training camp in July too.
Yeah.
Well, so like for
So-
me, no, but for traditionally older players, and absolutely right. So it would have been really difficult to end up doing that as an athlete. Now, obviously, the schedule's changing, things like that, but high school football is still really well and really strong in London, and you play for your school. So I really like that both these programs do that, and that they do have that strong history.
Absolutely.
So if I may, so you're saying get to the 45-yard line and it's automatic points?
I didn't say automatic; it's easier.
So no.
makes things
I'm
easier.
going somewhere. Adam, are we saying that in this game kickers are people too?
Kickers are.
If we were
Kickers are always
streaming,
people,
if we
too.
were streaming the game, that's
That's when the pop-up would come
high
up.
potential for that pop up
Yeah,
to come up on the
absolutely
screen.
it
Yeah.
would be.
Oscar,
Absolutely.
CCH's kicker, Oscar, he has a heck of a leg on him. And as good as he is at kicking the football, he's double that as a person. Great kid, one of the captains of the team.
This is Chmielewski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to have a kicker as one of your captains voted on by, that definitely says
No
something.
comment.
So,
That's huge.
voted on by the team.
Respectfully,
Easy.
I'd be
Easy.
shocked if he was playing in Ontario
And he
next
plays-
year or anywhere in Canada. That kid is incredibly talented.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, so that pretty much wraps it up. Let's talk a couple of other things. Unfortunately, the Beefs fell to St. Clair this weekend. It was looking close for a minute, and then St. Clair did what St. Clair does and ran away with that one. So hats off to the Beefs for being competitive. I mean, they lost to them 62-0 in their last matchup. It was 60-something to 38 or something.
Yeah. 72-38.
Yeah.
Was the final score.
They went down to St. Clair and had a respectable first half at least. And then St. Clair took off. And for all these high school kids, most of them went through the LMFA program.
Yep.
And we'll be streaming on Sunday the U10, U12, and U14 games as well. Mr. Dylan Sherville will be on the call and then coaching the U12 game.
Yeah.
So we're pretty excited about that too. So if you're heading down, if you got nothing to do on Sunday, obviously the streams will be up. Watch those afterwards. Come down to Citywide. Come get involved. Come introduce yourself to us in the tent. If you want to get a quick interview in or something like that, if you play in the city, we'd love to talk to you there too. So, the football never ends in this city, guys. So, obviously we're dwindling down here to the last few at the high school level, and it's been a great season so far. So I think with that, guys, unless there's any other final thoughts,
Do we point?
Go ahead, Dylan.
Sorry, go. Let's say Inspector Gadget says both games should be played at the same field, one after the other.
Completely agree.
What a vibe that
Completely
Yeah.
agree.
Well, it
Because
used
that's
to
what
be
used
that
to
way.
happen-
Yeah,
that
yeah,
used to
for
happen-
sure.
that
It
used to
happened
happen at
last year.
Western.
Yep.
Yeah.
It used to happen at Western as well for the Red Feather games. You would have one school after another after another. You'd have 3 games in a day.
playoffs.
And it was
At
phenomenal.
JW Little
It's-
Stadium.
Yeah, that and
The wood bleachers.
TD Waterhouse as well. Like, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
I think all 4 of these teams could win a bowl game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might not
For
win
sure.
all of them, but they'd win against most other conferences.
Yeah,
I agree.
I was revisiting the power rankings that we put together at the beginning of the season. Obviously, all 4 of these teams were there. The Rams, Laurier Rams, rounding off number 5. And I don't think, if somebody else showed up in this top 4, I'd have been blown away. I think we all kind of knew going into the season what we'd be looking at in the semifinal week. I maybe sidelines. I might stream the Lucas game in a basic form. So if you are going to go down to the Banting game, I'll probably put that game up, or at least have a camera streaming what's happening or something. But we'll figure that one out if you guys can, it's 11.
It's going to be 2 good
too.
football games.
Yeah.
I mean, I
phenomenal.
picked CCH. I think nothing against Lucas. That's a solid football team.
yeah.
So it's going to be a good game.
I wouldn't be surprised to see both our picks being wrong.
I agree.
Like all of us. Well, except for you. You
impossible.
went lone wolf.
Yeah,
Impossible?
Yeah, because we didn't all pick the same thing.
No, but
Well, sorry, like if
I wouldn't be surprised if both my picks were wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if South won. I wouldn't be surprised to see a South Lucas final. Right now, I'm picking Catholic Central. Banting
Make them
in a
play.
rematch.
Have a loser bowl.
I'd love
agree.
that.
Oh, that'd be
I'd
sweet.
love
They
that.
used
Yeah.
to they used to have the B championship, and they called it the Mega Bowl.
No,
Maybe.
like have 3 and
I
4
agree.
play.
I
Oh.
agree. That'd be excellent. London Football TV sponsor.
I'm
we'll figure
saying,
that out.
and there might be big things cooking for
Yeah,
next
yeah.
year. Let's just say that. So
It's Halloween tomorrow.
Yeah.
Are you anybody dressing up?
As a Crusader. Scariest thing I
actually-
could think of.
The best? Strong, intimidating? Oh, wow.
I'll be wearing my uniform, which basically looks like this every single day, just different logo on the shirt. So
I'm gonna throw in
it's,
a hockey jersey and putting on the foil.
Oh, I like it. Yeah.
Ooh, Hanson brothers.
There you go.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, hope everybody has a great and safe Halloween. It's Devil's Night, so safe drive home, guys. We're in a pretty good part of town. You should be all right. But, hey, we'll wrap it there. It's been a pleasure as always. We'll be back next week, and jump in the chat or the comments afterwards if you're watching this afterwards. Or if anybody wants to get involved in any aspect of this too, shoot me a DM on Instagram. So with that, for me and all these wonderful gentlemen here, we'll see you next week.